Welcome to the Doktor O'Kay Show with Monday Night Raw from parts unknown, but mysteriously looking awfully similar to last week's location. Nonetheless, I guess we'll never know. So let's go to the main headline, which is just keep winning the battle, but... well, we'll get to that in a few minutes, but as always, we start with the matches now in order, so we just keep being whirling dervishes as the LWO twisted American Made into all sorts of knots with their incredible aerial maneuvers to get the win, with Rey Mysterio hitting a 619 and then his patented tadpole splash. So the LWO is the ones, as they were just way too fast and way too well-oiled of a machine for American Made, including Rey tossing Zelina up onto Chad Gable so that Zelina could do a Hurricane Rana off the top rope. Very impressive. So they go to 1-1 in mixed tag matches, getting back a win from losing to Dirty Dom and Liv a few months ago. So that makes American Made the twos, as they tried to slow down the speed of the LWO, with Ivy even slapping Zelina before the bell, and so that will cost Ivy her third fine of the year. But later, even Chad Gable tried to slow down Zelina by grabbing her leg as she was trying to tag in Rey. That didn't work for them either, and those two go to 0-1 as a duo in mixed tag matches. But just overall really impressed by Rey and Zelina and their teamwork in this one, so we're going to start this off with an OK. Up next, we just keep being a thorn in the side as Ludwig Kaiser reinserted himself into the feud with Sheamus and Braun Breaker, causing a disqualification in the Intercontinental title match when he came out and clotheslined Braun Breaker as he was attempting a running super spear outside the ring. Then he threw him into the ring post and finished him off with an STO DDT. And Braun Breaker is the ones, as he countered Sheamus's brogue kick attempt, landing that spear and setting up that running super spear. But then, of course, Kaiser came out and ruined it, so Kaiser is getting a 1-week suspension, which is his 4th suspension of the year, for interrupting a title match. So Breaker is going to get a DQ victory here, and this is his first successful title defense of sorts, and he improves to 13-5 in one-on-one matches. But unfortunately for Sheamus, he continues to be the twos in all Intercontinental title opportunities, as he was unable to put Breaker away after landing a crushing kneecap, but his brogue kick went astray, getting hit with that spear, and then Kaiser finished him off as well with a running drop kick into the steel steps. So for Sheamus, he continues to be unable to win that title, and he falls to 8-5 in one-on-one matches. But because this was a really great hard-hitting title match that really could have gone either way for most of it, and we did not need to see Ludwig Kaiser at all, and now it looks like we might just be running into a triple threat match, so this has to get a double not okay. Up third, we just keep not listening to good advice, as Dominic Mysterio and Carlito did not heed the words of Finn Balor when he said to attack the War Raiders next, so they ended up being overpowered with a War Machine finisher. So the War Raiders are the one, and yeah, they were just way too strong here and too good of team chemistry to easily get them the win. So the War Raiders are indeed 4-0 in all tag matches since their return, and they remain the #1 contenders for Balor and McDonough. And the Judgment Day is the twos, as Dom and Carlito were 2-1 in all tag matches in which they appeared together, but this was their first match as a duo, so they fall to 0-1, even with a couple classic Judgment Day tricks. They just could not get this one done. So then after the match, of course, it was Balor and McDonough who attacked the War Raiders from behind, with them specifically going after the neck that they had been speaking of before, and Balor then finished it off with a coup de grace on Eric. So Balor and McDonough will both pick up fines for the post-match attack, and McDonough regains the lead by himself for most STFs of 2024. So there was just nothing going on for the Judgment Day here. This one's gonna get a not okay. So that leads us to our headline of the night and the main event with just keep winning the battle, but losing the War Games? Well, Seth Rollins reiterated in the strongest words possible to the OG Bloodline that he would not join them for the War Games match. But even with that knowledge, Solo Sikoa had the new Bloodline go to ringside very early on in the match between Reed and Rollins. And sure enough, the OG Bloodline came out to neutralize them with the Usos, both landing super kicks and then a double super kick to finally get Fatu out of the ringside area. But at least that worked and the match continued. But at the very end, Solo Sikoa distracted Seth Rollins from going off of the top rope, and Reed is the ones because Solo's distraction worked like a charm for today, as Reed immediately landed a Death Valley driver, 2 sentons, and a tsunami to pick up the win and tie the series at 1 to improve back to 500 at 8-1. But I just want to take a minute here because the WWE tried to give you a little bit of misinformation here before the match, saying that Seth Rollins was the only person to pin Bronson Reed since July. And while that fact is indeed true, well, since that time on July 15th, when he lost to Sheamus by pin, he then defeated Sheamus in the rematch and then beat The Miz 2 times, with the last of those wins being on August 19th. And since that time, Big Bronson Reed was just 0-2-1 in all matches, losing the last man standing match to Braun Strowman and then taking that pin against Seth Rollins. So that was 3 months with only 3 matches. And yeah, he didn't win any of them, so it wasn't like Bronson Reed was otherwise on a roll. So with Rollins picking up that win, it really didn't say anything at all. So WWE spouting off some misinformation while it is here on the Doktor O'Kay show. We give you the real news. So Seth Rollins is the twos. He hit a super kick and then a pedigree, but Reed was able to kick out, so Rollins got right back on it, landing a stomp onto the mat, but he didn't even try for a pin that time, which cost him greatly as he then went up to the top rope and was immediately distracted by Sikoa, leading to the loss. So he drops below 500 in all singles action at 3-4-1. So because there was no actual interference in this one, it was a good hard-hitting match worthy of a Monday Night Raw main event, so we will give this an okay. But did Solo and the new Bloodline make this a big mistake? Because he should have just let sleeping dogs lie here, as he surely heard that Rollins said no to the OG Bloodline before the match, when Rollins said that he would stand by Jimmy Uso, he would stand by Jey Uso, and he would stand by Sami Zayn, but he absolutely would not stand by that tyrant, Roman Reigns. And I mean, no one can argue with that. Roman Reigns is, of course, getting everyone back under his grasp. And so, Rollins is the only one who is proving to be smart enough to not fall right into that trap. And by saying no yet again, Rollins admitted that it hurts him inside for a lot of reasons, but it is simply not worth it. So Sami, Jey, Jimmy, listen to Seth. Get your heads on straight. Just walk away now before this match is actually booked. But for Seth's great words here, we will give this a double okay. So back to Solo here. All you had to do was nothing. Just let the match happen. Big Bronson Reed is a grown man. He obviously knows how to handle himself both inside and outside the ring. But instead, you just could not help yourself. You had to have the new Bloodline go out there, and you had to show up yourself. So all you did was give Seth Rollins a reason to yet again rethink his decision to say no to joining Roman Reigns. So Solo, I sure hope this was worth it, and I sure hope that Seth Rollins remains strong in his belief to not change his mind. But you gave him a reason to do so, so even though you won the battle tonight, this may cost you the War Games. Beyond the mat for Raw, Liv and Raquel requested that Nia, Tiffy, and Candice join them in the middle of the ring, so when Nia got there, she told both of them that she neither liked them, nor disliked them, nor even thought of them at all. But she can't stop thinking about Bianca, Jade, and Naomi, so of course immediately those three appeared, and then Bianca said they didn't come alone, so Io managed to join them, but Liv laughed at them when they made their way to the ring, saying that this was only a 4-on-5 fight, and she then told someone to take the first shot. But at that time, we got a surprise return of Rhea Ripley, now wearing a face mask for her broken orbital bone, but that didn't hold Rhea back from immediately going up to Liv and headbutting her with that face mask on. Wow, Rhea just does not mess around, does she? So anyway, Liv eventually was able to escape out from ringside, and Io finished everybody else off with an over-the-moonsault onto the floor. So it looks like we do now officially have a women's 5-on-5 War Games match for Survivor Series. And since I guess anything with Rhea turns something from comically bad into something better, we'll now just call these two lineups bad. So for that improvement, Rhea, good for you. You don't get an STF and you make this okay. Up next, we had Gunther talking to Kaiser backstage, and he told him that Kaiser does not speak for him, but he also said that Kaiser needs to speak for himself. So of course he went on and interrupted that Intercontinental title match, but Gunther then took matters into his own hands, trying to reassure himself that he is indeed the same ring general that he always is. He saw Damian Priest signing some merchandise at a table nearby, so he went up behind him and immediately tried to choke him out, but Priest turned it around and eventually kicked him right in the groin to knock him to the floor. And Priest, now sitting over top of Gunther, said that Gunther may be a general inside the ring, but on the streets, Priest is the king. So Gunther, yeah, even though you're the one lying on the ground, you started this, so you get a 1-week suspension. But since you actually took matters into your own hands, we're not going to complain about this too much. It's just your second suspension of the year, and we'll admit this was a decent little backstage attack. We'll give it an okay. We did also get a few more vignettes with Doktor O'Kay, who returned last week, now saying that she's never wanted things more and is ready to be a champion. And Lyra Valkyria said she did not burn when she was thrown into the fire, and now she's going to rise and is ready to take on anyone. Nonetheless, I don't think we needed either of these. Double not okay. We also had Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods arguing about them arguing. Yeah, that's weird, right? Oh well, we do have that anniversary coming up here very soon, so again, let's really just hope we get there awfully fast. But for now, unfortunately, the Alpha Academy was caught in the crossfire as Otis was just trying to settle the tensions, but Woods yelled at him as well, so he demanded a match against them next week. So Otis and Tozawa, man, let's go. This is your chance, guys. This is your chance. Get those two not on the same page, and maybe you can finally get a win. But yet again, really tired of these two arguing after all these years of being in accord, so not okay. And lastly, in a pre-tape segment, The Miz and Karrion Kross gloated about their attack on the Wyatt Six last week. So The Miz said that he deserved an Oscar for that performance, and Kross said that now they are playing the game that he controls. So later in the night, the Wyatt Six were able to yet again hijack the screen and took over with another video. And this time Bo Dallas said that he offered The Miz salvation, but The Miz chose this himself, and his hands will forever be bloodstained. And most scary of all, that he is going to lose what matters most to him, so I am now very worried for the Miz's family. But I guess we'll see where this goes, but come on guys, let's just get some matches here already. But this was still pretty compelling, so I'll give it an okay. Well, we did have one War Games match become official, but will the OG Bloodline become any closer to getting a 5th member on SmackDown this week? But if you missed this past week's SmackDown grades, go right on over here to check that out. But for tonight, pretty decent segments all around. We'll give this an okay.